Go.
All right.
What about you? You're in
I'm in
Florida?
Orlando.
Yeah,
Okay, we're ostensibly live on Facebook and YouTube.
ostensibly. Are we not actually?
According to software, which,
Could break.
I
All
tried
right.
to log
Well,
into Zoom
if
yesterday
you're
for an
out there
hour.
watching, we've got another episode of Run With It that we're starting here behind the scenes. Got Nir Bashan. Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. We've got Nir Bashan on the show here, and we are going to get right into it. You guys ready?
Yeah, excited.
Ready to go?
Let's do it. Okay. Welcome to Run With It. We bring you business ideas from proven founders. Each episode, you'll hear a new business idea and the exact steps our guests would take to get started. We're your hosts, Chris Justin.
And Ethan Janney. And on today's show, we have Nir Bashan. He's a world-renowned creativity expert. He has taught thousands of leaders and individuals around the globe how to harness the power of creativity to improve profitability, increase sales, improve customer service, and ultimately create more meaning in their work. Nir has spent the last 2 decades working on a formula to codify creativity.
That's all great, Ethan, but our show is a little bit different. We're not going to talk about all the stuff that Nir has done. We're going to talk about a new idea that Nir is bringing to the table. Nir, you've got one to help improve the shower experience while traveling. Pressure washer. Make showering great again. Welcome to the show, and tell us about the idea that you'd like our listeners to run with.
So, hey guys, thank you for having me. And this is really great in terms of being a different type of show, and it's exciting. And I've listened to some of the episodes before and had a lot of fun, but I think your listeners are going to have way more fun with this episode because my idea is way better. Okay. It's way better than anything ever featured ever on this show. My idea.
Nir, let's just put this out there. Nir has promised this will be our most downloaded episode.
I promise
ever.
that this will be potentially your most. I'm going to start walking it back now. Let me start walking it back.
No,
I think it may be a very good episode. I think my product is really good. I don't know, guys. I don't know if this product's going to be good at all. But so this is going to be the best product ever. And this is what you guys want me to give you the quick pitch, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
This is the quick pitch. My product is all about taking a decent shower. And for those of you listening, maybe not now, but we'll get back to it soon, that are road warriors. You're on the road seeing clients, flying in and out of this city, going to that city, having a meeting here, a meeting there. And you inevitably have to stay at one of these hotel chains. Some of them are great. Some of them are not so great. And you're just working, right? You land at 8 a.m. You get in a cab or a Uber and you go to the meeting. You have a client lunch. You get on your machine. You're working and you're doing things. And then, finally 6 o'clock, rolls along and no, you don't have time to yourself. You have another client meeting and you're taking somebody out and you're doing something and we have tickets to the game. And then you end up at the game and you get back to the hotel room. It's already 11, midnight, 1 a.m., something like that. Of course, you have a 7 a.m. phone call with, the office in the morning. And it is so much stuff going on. It is overwhelming. It is a lot. All you want to do is take a nice shower, right? So you get into the shower, you kind of turn it on. You're feeling like, oh man, I could just use a really great hot shower. And, the thing drips down and you're kind of trying to like get like the drops from the thing on your face. And I've stayed, at the 5-star places and I've stayed at, the 1-star places. It all depends on where the client is and, sort of what's around. And sometimes there's not nice places to stay. And I've found that in every single case, no matter where I am, the shower sucks. Why? Because it's got this little rubber thing in it that's supposed to limit, your showering experience, and it's really, really bad. And the last thing you want to do, take a shower where you're just kind of like, like dripping, like an eyedropper shower. So I came up with a tool that will change your life forever. And that tool is a plastic wrench to take off the shower head so that you can take the rubber thing out, put the shower head back, and take a proper shower where there is lots of pressure and the dirt and the grime of your white collar job get sort of washed away in a pool of soapy goodness that goes down the drain and makes you feel fresh, young, invigorated, great, and fresh and invigorated all at the same time.
And by the time you're done, you've enjoyed the shower much. It's turned into a 7-hour shower.
7-hour shower, man. That's right.
Time for your client in the morning.
Yeah, there's a lot of work going on here, and you need to have a proper shower, which sets up a proper good night's rest and gets you ready for your next day. So my tool is a plastic little tool. It's really cheap. It's affordable. It's it can go through security. It's not a metal thing. And basically you unscrew the thing, you take the little rubber out, take your shower. When you're done, you put the rubber thing back in, and you're on to your next road warrior lifestyle. But you smell way better for it.
So this is something you've done previously, I guess. It sounds like you're familiar with this. Or
how many shower heads have you taken apart?
A lot.
In your life?
Yeah. A lot. So here's the thing, right? So I am on the road a lot with the book and doing promotional work and meeting with clients and speaking, doing consulting work. And the worst part of traveling for me is always taking a crappy shower in some chain hotel or motel. And I feel that I have earned the right to a good shower. And I feel that your listeners have earned the right to a good shower, and that we have to get clean again. I want to make I want to make America clean again.
Who's going to pay for that shower? Are we going to get
shower tool?
No,
First of all, like Chris, Ethan, do you guys like?
I'm going to hold myself back from that because we love it. We love it. We love the enthusiasm that you have for it.
I don't take showers as a rule. We're doing a kind of a 18th century type of thing.
Yeah, going back to your roots.
No, it's true. I think I would go to the gym. I had a gym membership before quarantine, which didn't make sense recently, but half of what was great about that was they had some good showers over there and it was clean, and I didn't have to, somebody else to clean up after me. It's just like a nice morning. They had all the fancy lotions and refreshing your face and shave. It was just pampered bathroom preparation, day preparation experience. So it's really powerful, to be honest, and that's part of people's morning routine. And I think that it's something, having traveled myself quite a bit, that's one of the conundrums of traveling. Routines. How do you keep routines while you're traveling? How do you keep something consistent where, especially those things that rejuvenate and refresh you, like a good shower or the shower experience you're used to?
And we're joking about it, right? And it's funny, but it's really, really serious. And, keeping that routines and keeping those things that make you feel like a human being when you're not home are essential, right? Flying has become a pretty interesting activity. I shouldn't sort of harp on that too much because I have some aviation partners that I work with, but I mean, by and large, it's not, a super luxurious experience. It's more of a utility type experience. And there are people trying to change that, but that is really what it is. And you're at an airport and there's, people there and so on and so forth. Again, COVID has changed this a little bit, but not much. You arrive at the hotel, there's people traveling right now that need to be on site for, at the client site for work. And they're taking horrible showers with like an eyedropper, with eyedropper water pressure. And I feel that it's lowering performance. It's lowering people's capacity to do well at work. It's lowering people's moods and their sort of livelihood. And I think it's time that we change that around a little bit.
Give us some context around how big of a problem this is. Because I'm picturing, I travel or I used to travel a decent bit, but not business type travel. My dad would travel once a week to a client site, right? Not nearly that frequent, but how many people out there is this a problem for?
I think the market's huge, and I think this is a problem for a lot of people. I think it's also a problem for the casual market too. So, my wife, we travel for fun every so often, and I don't think there's ever been a hotel where she didn't get out of the shower and complain. Oh, this is the worst. I can't. You sometimes, we're having fun, and that's good. But sometimes you can't even get the soap to kind of do its thing, or you still have shampoo in your hair because you put it, and it's just like dripping, and so it's horrible. And your scalp itches the rest of the time because you couldn't get all the soap off. These are not okay things. And we need a wrench, guys. We need a pressure washer tool that we could sell cheaply and get out there into the market and get into the hands of consumers to take back their showering moment and love and enjoy the process of getting in and out of the shower so that water pressure can be had for a great showering experience again.
To throw some numbers to throw a number here in terms of total trips, U.S. travelers took 462 million domestic business trips last year. So it's a sizable portion of the population who is traveling frequent.
Yeah. What's the I bet some of your listeners can tell us, but the casual market is pretty robust too, and if you ask anybody, hey, what were some of the experiences that you've had traveling? Usually the pain points are, the flight was delayed or, packed or, people were unfriendly to me. And then something, about the hotel, usually that it wasn't clean or, they didn't like the breakfast or they didn't like the shower or the bed. Those are kind of the usual responses you get. So my invention would like to fix the showering portion.
Ethan, you had something that you were gonna.
Yeah, he deep in thought. Look at that, deep.
I'm done. We gotta end this episode. No, I'm thinking back to beyond the pressure issue. And maybe this, I don't know if this is, it depends on what kind of travel you're doing, let's say. So if you're kind of one of these folks that is a nomad, like a digital nomad, you may end up in Argentina or Peru. And I think the systems are getting better in countries like that. But I remember visiting Peru, you get a hotel room. It's actually a pretty nice place. It's one of the better places you can get. And then you turn on the shower and it's literally don't have hot water, or it's only hot water when the hot water heater is full of hot water because it's solar heated. And then you have this electrical device, which kind of is very popular in those regions where that will heat the water on the spot. And that's actually pretty great because it can turn what would be just a cold water experience into something hot relatively rapidly. You get hot water quickly because you have those devices. So I'm just thinking about other poor shower experiences I've had. And is that something that you incorporate into a tool like this? Is there something that helps to make sure that it's also hot enough, or is that getting too complicated? Are we just addressing the pressure issue with the
I think it's a good point. Yeah. And I've done some international travel where the shower has been real touch and go. But I think that the simplicity of the device and the fact that you can get it through security are the two championship moments. That is what gets the email box going, right? That's what's going to get your listeners to send 1,000 emails on this very issue saying we cannot wait to partner with the genius Nir Bashan because this is the best show and the best idea we've ever heard. Some people listen. So I'm on the road a lot, and I talk with my fellow people who do similar work. One guy literally checks in a wrench, and he's got two sizes because most of the chains we won't name any names, but most of the chains use a certain size. And then one or two of the auxiliary chains that aren't, as big as the main ones use a different size. And so he carries 2 wrenches with him. And he's like, you know what? I've had enough. I'm like, why don't you just get like a plastic thing or whatever? And I told him that about a year ago. And it's just an anecdote, right? It's not every traveler, but he said, dude, so he's at security and he gets the weirdest looks, right? So they pull his bag aside because it's metal, and they're like, sir, you realize that there's a wrench in here. You're not allowed to bring tools. Or they confiscate it, or, then it turns into a whole, like, who wants to deal with that? You want to get through security as quickly as possible at the airport, 1. So 2, about a year ago, he started switching to using kind of a plastic thing, but there's not enough plastic wrenches and things that will fit this size and can fit in the hand comfortably and easily enough to take the shower head off. So he's like derived this thing where, it's got like electrical tape and like the clamp is like a piece of plastic from I don't know, some IKEA furniture that he got that just happened to fit on there, and he wraps it around and he throws it in his bag, right? It gets through security because that doesn't pop up. It looks kind of like a weird contraction. And then, he's always breaking it and stuff like that. I think that we can easily, with your listeners' help, easily come up with a tool. We could probably prototype it through an additive manufacturing technique pretty easily. I spoke to a neighbor about it who's an engineer for the healthcare business. He makes, amazing, helpful, avant-garde products for, skull plates and heart valves and stuff like that. I pitched him the idea, and I would be lying if he didn't look at me like I was batshit crazy. And I said, but sir, this is a really great idea. And I explained it to him, and then he kind of got it. After a while, he was like, you know what? Yeah, the shower always sucks, man. He's like, what are you thinking? And I said, well, why don't we machine a very small tool with some leverage so that, anybody can do it? Because sometimes they put the shower head on pretty tight. We just need a little bit of leverage. The longer the handle, right, the easier it is to turn. And then there's ways to make a handle do the work so that you're not really forcing it. I'm talking a 10-second investment in taking a drip shower that's horrible into making it something that is just invigorating and comfortable and warm and lovely, and just, something that is an amazing experience. Yes, it's a 10-second investment in work and a very, very low price, to get the tool, and you're off showering and having a great time.
I think it's done. I think we just got to cut it and print it. We just got to contact some manufacturers.
Do you guys love it or not?
The details.
It's good.
I love it. Yeah, I want to take it a little bit. Every now and then we go to Crazy Town with some of our ideas, and Ethan is just gonna flip out. It's his favorite time. I'm wondering if there is a way to add a different type of service that adds even more value to the travel experience, where someone were to check into your room, check the water pressure, make sure that it's good, set you up with the type of nozzle that you like, make sure that the Wi-Fi connection works. It's like, I think about these professional sports teams that do this. They'll change out the mattresses, right? And that's obviously outside of the price range for most people. But is there a lower tier at which you can have someone do that? You pay them $50 or something, and they come in and they set up your room exactly the way that you like to make sure that you get the your dream experience. Maybe you like to face a certain direction. You want the windows such that the sun doesn't shine into your eyes at 6 in the morning.
You want good feng shui in your hotel room.
Exactly. Whatever it is. And the reason that I'm going to Crazy Town a little bit with this idea is because I'm wondering if there's enough of a market for people who are going to pay $10 for a plastic wrench, and if that would be a profitable enough business. If $10 times the number of people who would buy that, how big does that business get? So
we're going to sell millions of wrenches, guys.
So yes, this is the thing. Wrenches. This is the thing. This is the thing that I have to agree with in terms of the way that you're presenting it. Nir, is you're just making it sound like such a no-brainer, and such a big reward, right? Where if it is $10 and it's profitable because it costs $1 to make or something like that, right? Then it doesn't matter to people. They go, oh, of course, and it's one of those things where it's in the airport store, right? Oh, I got the neck pillow,
Easy.
$20 there. Got the wrench. Maybe it's even more expensive in the airport store, $20 for the wrench. And I just want to make my trip. That's where people do
Just a bit
buy
more
those
comfortable.
things.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, listen,
they're exhausted. Yeah.
anything people can do to predict their journey a little bit better, whether it's through an airport, through an airline, to a hotel, to the car rental, so on and so forth, is a premium that people are willing to pay for. Look at all the major rental cars, look at all the major airline, and even Uber and Lyft. Every time I'm at LaGuardia, they have a special line for an upcharge, and that special line gives me predictability that somebody will pick me up at this certain time. I tend to use that special line. It's an upcharge, but it's worth it because I know I can get to my meeting wherever I need to go at a certain time. So this is yet another one of the products that gives people, the traveling public, back control over that particular journey. And it enables them to know that if all hell breaks loose, right, and the client's not buying, or, everybody's upset, or the presentation went horribly, which I've had happen to me before, or, nobody's buying your book, which I've had happen to me before, or whatever it is that goes wrong, the very minimum that you are guaranteed, the very minimum that you are guaranteed is a good shower at the end of the night or in the morning when you're ready to get going. And that, for me, is worth $9.99. Have we already set the price, you guys? I mean, what's up with that, Chris? Like, are you
I just dropped it on.
Excited?
I just dropped it on
price anchor,
on the
man.
listeners.
Can we talk about this?
Near was looking
bit?
for
Yeah.
$120 a pop.
There's a shark out there. All right, let's take a little bit of a tangent here to talk about some of the experiences that you've had from your current work that could help make this idea more successful.
Yeah. What do you bring? What comes from your current entrepreneurial journey, and how would you apply some of that thing?
So I'm a creativity. Yeah, for sure. I'm a Sorry, man. I didn't mean to cut you off, but Chris did, and I figured that was okay then, because he did it, and he's your friend.
We can cut each other off pretty much constantly.
I think that'd make an
interesting episode. You just keep cutting after the set, right when the sentence is finished, you just cut. I think that'd be an awesome episode. We don't have to say anything interesting, like a lot of people cutting each other off. What? I'm waiting for someone to cut me off.
How did you two meet? What's the story there? BFF or what? You have half the heart and he has the other half.
We were in a business mastermind together.
Oh,
so
cool.
We work together and we help each other expand our businesses.
Oh,
and,
nice.
Chris was working at home as an independent fellow, getting very lonely in his office there. And this was his creative idea on how to make some new friends and expand his network. And I said, hey, I'll help out with that.
You got roped into it.
Happened. Not
he
really.
Jumped in with.
He
with
didn't
2
ask
feet.
me.
Yeah, he did.
He just said, hey, I got this idea. And I said, you know what, man, let's try this together.
Let's do it. So yeah, I'm a creativity expert. I have a book out from McGraw-Hill. It's been out about only about 3 weeks. It's about how to be creative in business, and it takes any product or service, any career, and breaks it down into manageable steps on how to be creative. There's far too much out there on the why. I don't really care about the why, guys. I've had enough with the why. That's good for schools and philosophy, and that's fantastic. But I want actionable items that people can use every day to improve their lives through the lens of creativity. I consult. I go work with different businesses from manufacturing to medicine. And I look at their pipeline. Sometimes it's the sales pipeline. Sometimes it's the entire broad strokes of the company. Sometimes it's one segment, maybe it's operations. And I look to different items in that process and try to improve their profit or performance or customer service or whatever it is that we set out to do through the lens of creativity. Usually that manifests itself in some kind of advice that is not part of the orthodoxy and established set of looking at things. I did a keynote for a disaster restoration convention, and had somebody come up after and say, Nir, this creativity is great, but I have real deadlines and real things to do. And while you were talking for an hour, I literally thought of all the emails I had to send. I'm like, I like you. You're a cool dude. So we ended up talking, and he signed up for a little consulting. It's for the minimum, like the cheapest consulting. He's like, what's the lowest package I can get? I'm like, cool, dude, fine. Yeah, here's the lowest package. And, so he signed up for that. And we started to look at his business creatively, which was incredibly difficult for him to do. And it's difficult for most people because it involves change, and we hate change. We love predictability, right? We love to take a shower with pressure because we know that it's predictable. So for him and his business, they were doing disaster restoration and lump sum. So, grandma would overcook the turkey or whatever, and there'd be a little fire. It's not, it's not like it's a pretty bad disaster, right? And so, fire department came, the whole deal, there's water everywhere. They'd have to come clean up the mess. And so they did a lump sum billing. And I said, well, let's look at how you invoice. And we started looking at how they invoice. And it turns out that, I suggested maybe we do a a la carte invoicing model instead. And he was like, no way. We've been doing this for 15 years. We're going to do it for another 15 years. This is the best thing ever. And so I said, just try it. And he's like, okay, we'll try it. And he tried it on like 10 clients. I mean, it was like talk about, not wanting to be dragged into a podcast, Ethan, but it did sound like you jumped in with both feet. Anyway, he put his toe in it, right? And those 10 customers or 20 or however many the sample size were totally into it because it was cheaper than buying the lump sum. But because he had really good service, they ended up buying the whole chunk, which was roughly 18 or 19, 20%, somewhere around that, more than what the lump sum was in the first place. So he was like, yeah, this is good. He's like, come back. We need to do more work together. So we started to do more work together, and we looked at every point of the business and started improving it. And, he's off running with, I think, roughly an 18, 17% higher close rate than before. And that, for their business and that sort of environment, that is astronomical. And that's what I do. I help businesses look at things creatively. One of the things that I just helped them with a little while ago was writing proposals. They had proposals that looked like things that a lawyer would write. I mean, they were like 18 pages. I'm like, who reads this? He's like, everybody. I'm like, come on. He's like, Nir, I need the lawyers, blah, blah, blah. I can't really tell you. I'm like, how many, dude, okay, forget the lawyers. Can we be honest? How many people, can I ask your customers how many read them? He's like, well, let me check with legal and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I just asked people. I was like, hey, did you read the contract? They're like, absolutely not. Most people don't read 18 pages. I'm like, dude, let's write 3 paragraphs, right? Grandma had a fire in the kitchen. We literally started with writing stories, little bite-sized stories of a disaster and how this company that I consulted for came along and fixed it. And it was amazing because people read the 3 paragraph. They look for the lowest price on the a la carte thing. They're like, okay, cool, we'll do that. We'll do the floor restoration or whatever it was. And he ended up doing really well. So that's my background. Now, how did this lead into this product and service? One, I think that this product is an incredibly easy thing to use, and it's an incredibly sort of easy thing to digest because everybody, no matter who you are, your listeners, have taken a really bad shower before when all they need is a really good shower, right? And we could solve that for such a low price point that it becomes like I think you said it earlier, Ethan, a no-brainer. And I think it is a creative enough idea that nobody else is doing it, and something that is infinitely brandable in I think, humorous way, very much like the Shave Club and those guys who are selling, a 300-year-old, 400-year-old product, in a new and different and fresh and exciting way. Yeah, can anybody make a razor? Absolutely. But the Shave Club, you get the humor, which is awesome. You get the experience, you get the brand, and you get that sense that you're part of something bigger. I think that you can be part of something bigger with Pressure Washer
So let's
showering
go.
great again.
Let's go into, so what I'm interested here is we go into action steps on how people can get a business started. And what's interesting too about the themes that you're bringing here is creativity. I remember I'm sort of a creativity fan as well. It's something I love. What I love about creativity is it can take something that would take you, say 100 and put a number on your energy or your time or whatever. And when you get a creative idea or creative application, it reduces it by orders of magnitude to
Yes.
1. It's 100 hours, now it's 1 hour. The 100 amount of energy level, it's just 1% of that. So I love that. But I've had people where I love talking to them about creative ideas. My PhD advisor, for example, he's like, ideas are a dime a dozen. It's about the application. It's about the actions that you take. So what I'd like to do is move into, we do honor that action side of things for our listeners, taking action, taking the right actions. So if we have a little bit of a kind of creativity free for all on actions that you can take and, shifting them and changing them according to how to get this business started. So I'll launch us out. So I would say the first thing that I would do, and I'm just going to brainstorm, it's be an awful idea, is try to sell one to my brother-in-law who travels. So I'd say, hey, I made a plastic wrench, or I'll just get a plastic wrench off of Amazon, however much it is.
Pressure washer.
The exact size.
Right. Pressure washer.
Okay. Well, but this is what I'm saying. You get a generic product like that, and it's the right size. Maybe you have 2 because there's 2 sizes needed, but you find a product that's similar, but not exactly what you need. But then I go to my brother-in-law and I say, hey, I got these. Would you pay me $10? And if he pays me $10, then we got a good start. And I call it the pressure washer. Hey, I got the pressure washer. It's amazing. And I go through the whole thing about the shower and the sweat and the arduous thing. And, it's the way you're going to wake up refreshed in the morning. So that's like one way that I would start. It's sort of pseudo creative. It's one way we think about start on a small scale first. What's another idea to start? Some way to get started?
I love it. I talk in my book about micro listening, right? So I've worked for a lot of PR and marketing and advertising departments where they spend an insane amount, Ethan, on getting feedback. And part of what I write about in the book is about micro listening and how going to is it your brother-in-law?
Yeah. He used to internationally travel, right? Yeah.
Right. So going to just a select amount of people and testing the waters on something like this can be incredibly powerful. People generally think, oh, we got to do, a whole rollout. We got to test it across, and it's going to cost a lot of money and we got to do this and that. But sometimes micro listening can be an amazing and effective creative tool to sort of judge whether a product is working or not. I would do a couple of prototypes because I have access to some really high-end, incredibly talented people that run a company that does things for, medical grade. So we can get that wrench really perfect. I mean, we're not like putting it in somebody's body. So that's what generally these people do. So I would make a prototype. That'd be the first thing. I'd make a prototype and try it out at a couple of different chains, and then sort of see, hey, is this a good feeling handle? Should we make it longer? Should we make it shorter? One of the ideas that came up in just 10 seconds of talking with an engineer was the leverage thing, right? Because sometimes they put it on tight. So you want it to be very easy because you're tired or whatever after work. You want to be very easy. So you need leverage. I said, okay, well, dude, you don't want to take a thing that's like as long as a shoehorn or twice the size of a shoehorn or whatever in your packaging, in your bags. And he's like, no, you just fold it up. And you just fold it up, and there's a way to just kind of expand it and contract it so that you can get that leverage. You'd like, leave that one with me. I can help you figure that out. So I
there's
think
also like compound levers, or I don't know if this would be applicable because it might set off metal detectors, but you also have things like carbon fiber, where most of the product is some sort of plastic or even foam core.
There's
but
my $100 product
nice
price point.
Rigid. Yeah. But so in terms of what I want to go into is our listeners, not all of our listeners are going to have connections with, like a high level engineer. So I want to go into a little bit about just that relationship.
They can bring money. Just bring money.
Yeah.
Write us a check.
Write you a check.
Write me a check. Oh, I thought we were partnering. The Janie Justin Bashan enterprise of making showering great again.
But so
what?
let's say this. Okay, first of all, when you do go to your engineer friends and you do say, I want to, let's make a prototype. Do you write them a check? Is it a level where you've built a relationship with them where they're going to say, yeah, we'll do this prototype. Don't worry about it. It's a small thing. It's not going to be a big deal. So it's kind of an exchange of.
Yeah,
okay.
that would be free. I have very, very good relationships with a lot of people that I've fostered.
So if somebody doesn't, just to get a little bit into this, if somebody doesn't have a relationship with an engineer, this might be a first action step for them to build relationships. Do you have any advice for how to, quickly, or maybe it takes a while, to build a relationship with somebody who's an engineer to the point where you could say, hey, would you be willing to help explore this idea with me?
I'll jump in with one approach here. A listener could find someone on Fiverr or Upwork who can do a mechanical design in a CAD file, and then you could get someone else to 3D print it. So that's something that you could do with no connections. It would be relatively cheap to get someone to do that sort of design. I know my brother-in-law is capable with CAD, so it's there are people within your network. You may be able to even just post on Facebook.
You may have a brother. It turns out you may have a brother-in-law.
There are a lot of brother-in-laws in the world.
You have some sort of brother-in-law out there.
Can we call the company Brother-in-Law Inc.?
Brother-in-law's pressure washing.
I do want to insert this really quickly, by the way. The pressure washer, we forced ourselves to come up with a name for this product 5 minutes before we launched the episode. So that name is not even fixed. It could be a completely different name, but it's somehow sticking, actually.
So you guys have done the show a bunch, right? And I've heard some episodes. How's the feedback been? Are you guys getting people jumping in and saying, oh, pressure washer, the best idea ever. I'm going to dedicate my life to a clean shower, which wouldn't be out of the norm. At least, for me, I think that is a worthwhile pursuit of life. Do you guys get people saying, oh, dude, totally best idea ever, and setting up, either a company or a partnership or something like that? Have you guys gotten that feedback?
We've gotten a lot of best examples. Yeah, we've gotten, Shuhan He is one of our best examples of a fellow who's, a high performance kind of guy. He's a doctor. He's an entrepreneur. He's got this sort of maze entrepreneurs things where they do mazes for medical and scientific experiments. And
ultra marathon runner.
Oh, cool.
Ultra marathon runner. Yeah, well, you name it, he does it.
A high achieving kind of individual.
High achieving kind of guy. But that's aside the point. Just to give you a background on him, and then he had an idea called Dr. Lingo, which was about creating a way to translate the lingo that a doctor uses for the everyday person without much intermediary. Literally, the doctor could enter what they say in their notes, but then it could be translated for the patients. And he's got someone that he's partnered up with that is an intern, or sort of, he's like a medical student who was attracted to the idea and attracted to being an entrepreneur, and they're launching that project. They're working on that project together.
As a result of your show.
Exactly.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's a big deal, guys. That's cool.
Thank you.
But it's also,
very creative.
I think
I approve. You get the Nir Bashan creativity seal. It's coming in the mail, guys.
The thing I think is useful too to get from guests like you too is there's a portion of our listeners that, and this is why this show is valuable, is to give them the actions to take. And, because some people get stalled on what's the next action to take, or how do I get started, or how do I get into this thing? So it's partially about the idea, whether they're excited about it, but us making it seem accessible to them so that they can say, oh, okay. So like I was saying, I need to get in touch with an engineer. How would I do that? And it could be, oh, I'm excited about it. So we could talk about two things: get in touch with an engineer. We could also talk about doing something that would impress you and coming to you so that you can connect with your entrepreneurs and everybody can get together and, start to make those things happen.
I think the first step would be to test it, right? And then I think the second step that I would do would to begin to market it. I don't think a build it and they will come approach works anymore. I just don't. I think that every product or service that I've seen that's been in the last 5 years that has been successful has built a following, has built a system before it is released. So what I would advise people to do is to fight the self-doubt monster. I talk about that in the book because self-doubt's going to push you away from doing anything ever that is creative or, worthwhile of taking a chance, because, it wants you to just do what worked yesterday and continue to do what you think will work tomorrow. And, that whole mentality of not wanting to change. So the first thing that I would advise your listeners to do is to fight that self-doubt, because it's going to creep into every single decision point in the whole pipeline, no matter what. It's going to tell you, I'm not sure. Oh, this is stupid. Someone's going to laugh at you, so on and so forth. Tragically, the same self-doubt monster attacks, people who are curing cancer. I mean, we could have easily have had a cure for cancer by now, or landed a woman on Mars, or done, cleaned up pollution and air pollution in cities easily if some engineer or some medical professional or some doctor or researcher or whatever didn't succumb to self-doubt. Guys, it is that strong. It is that strong. We worry about our ego. We worry about our reputation. What will people say? I have a chapter in the book where I write about a gentleman who used Zika, the virus, to attack the cells of cancer. And he found that they actually killed a very particular form of cancer. And, his journey was that he was so full of, self-doubt. He was worried about his reputation, because that's a batshit crazy idea. I mean, who takes a virus that hurts humans and uses it to help humans? It's amazing. And he got buy-in from his community, and he believed in his idea, and he believed in himself long enough to be able to, I think they're in stage 1 or stage 2 trials now. It could be one of the most amazing inventions ever to happen. And so I think the first step on all of this is being able to fight self-doubt and enabling yourself to believe in your ideas. I think the engineering portion is very important. Now we're kind of getting into the brass tacks. And I also think marketing is incredibly important. I would build the following before we had the brand. And through social these days and all the available channels, I would create a very, very funny and very engaging brand, very similar to what the Shave Club is doing and others, in terms of a kind of a tongue-in-cheek. But you know what? This really is a great product, and it's really great to take a decent shower. Out of all the problems humanity has, it's probably pretty far down the list, but that's okay, because the price point is good, and the way that we advertise and market and brand it is in a special way. Then I would do a giveaway. I'd have a lot of people get out there and trade a tool for maybe a review, or trade a tool for a photo of them using it. I mean, we can get some really funny and great and interesting, shots of steam, and, people taking a rubber piece out, and an old lady doing it. It's so easy, I could do it. And I think it'll get people really excited. And then I think we got to price it at a price point where it's just impossible to say no. Those are kind of the pipeline thing that I think will enable the product to do well. What do you think, Chris?
So
You've been quiet, man. You worry.
Yeah.
Chris,
when you
let's
get
forget
this
about
quiet,
Chris for
I
the
worry.
time being. Go for it, Chris.
I think it's time for rapid fire. You ready for this, Nir?
Oh, rapid fire.
You didn't even know it was coming.
Didn't
Not
know it
only
was
do you not know the questions, but you didn't know rapid fire was going to happen. All right, you ready? Here we go.
Just be ready to duck.
Yeah.
Explain the idea to your mom.
Mom, this is a great shower idea that will enable you to take a shower in any hotel anywhere properly.
Is this a 6, 7, or 8-figure business?
8.
Who is your first customer?
Ethan's cousin.
Brother-in-law.
Sorry.
It's always the brother-in-law.
Yeah. What would make you quit this idea?
A buyout, a generous buyout from one of your listeners. 9-figure buyout.
All right. And we talked about this a lot, but just reiterate it to hammer it home for the listener. They got a head full of steam. What's the first action that they should take on this idea?
I think the first action that we should all take on any idea is to fight the self-doubt that kind of it's ingrained in who we are, and allow ourselves the freedom to think creatively and to think differently. I think anybody in any invention and any new product and service, if you're able to do that, then your product ends up being more authentic to people. Why? Because I think that creativity is deeply ingrained in who we are. It's in our DNA. And if we allow ourselves to let that get out into the world a little bit more, I think that our product and service will be interpreted genuinely. And that's a big, big deal.
Last rapid fire, which you didn't get to, bootstrapped or fundraising?
I don't know. I think it's a combination of both. I think the fundraising will help get tools into different Insta users and, people on Twitter and stuff like that to get it out into the world. And, I think that'll be a good start. But I think getting a small pool of equity together, I don't think you need a lot, but getting a small pool of equity together with some laser focused goals, to set the path in motion, I think would be really great. Can I ask you guys a rapid fire question?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I don't know.
Each one of us individually, or
no, just for you,
together.
Ethan. Just for you,
just
buddy.
For me? Go for it.
I'd like to know who you've been texting this whole episode.
Anthony. Anthony's listening. Anthony's listening online. He's been making comments.
Has he?
Making comments on Facebook. Yeah.
Are any of them good?
I got to be honest. He's kind of hard. He's hard on us here.
He's hard.
He wants more on the action steps. Like he wants more details. He wants a timeline. He said he wants a timeline. He wants he's making comments about the turkey fire from before. Yeah, I've been keeping him at bay, to be honest. That's what
right.
I've been texting Anthony, but and on that note, actually, is what I was about to bring up, is in terms of these action steps, like give a little bit of summary of what we talked about so far, and maybe putting it in a bit of a timeline. So some things that you talked about were getting the marketing together, and I think that's a really good idea. And what are some steps that people can take in more detail? You said Dollar Shave Club. I love that. Take a Dollar Shave Club ad or research their marketing campaign, and you're not stealing what they do, but copy it in as much detail as you can to make it your own, so that it's not a Dollar Shave Club ad, but it takes they use humor here and they talk to this
exactly right
point. Right. And so you start with that, and then you figure out how you can use humor, and you've got to raise money before you do the giveaway. So you've got to do some pre-sales before you do the giveaway. Maybe there's some sort of a Kickstarter involved where you can easily pitch a product on Kickstarter without spending a lot of money, and at least then you can see if it has legs and people can buy it for $5 instead of $10, or $10 instead of $15. So you can raise some money that way, and then after that fact, you can start doing this giveaway influencer promotion where you're giving it to people. You say, we're going to send you one if you just take a picture.
You want to find shower influencers.
Shower influencers. Well,
the travel about showering.
Business travel influencers, I think you probably could find.
No, for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say it'd be a good time to go into forums for frequent travelers, or maybe the Points Guys website.
Oh, that's good.
Things like that where people are already traveling frequently, and you can get real-time feedback.
That's
you
good.
Can throw them a softball question of,
Anthony,
what do you think about the shower
again?
experience?
Anthony just messaged us on Facebook. He said, New York don't play. That's what he said. New York don't play.
Have you guys thought about having like a skeptic, like an Anthony on the calls?
We've actually
you guys and somebody go, baloney. It's just somebody to do the baloney part.
Good cop, bad cop. I think we might try that in future episodes. So one of us either consistently or we trade off is the bad cop. The other
right.
Good cop.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just turn into jerks though. If that happened, you haven't seen Ethan when he's angry.
You haven't
All
seen
right,
my
well-
hair when I'm angry.
Hey now.
He flips it to the other side.
Yeah. How long does
We're
that
com-
take in the morning, man? And does that, is that a several hour process, or are we taking?
This is instant. This is
No.
what you don't have to do anything for this.
Wow, instant.
That's just what happens. That's just
Wow.
called get out of the shower, dry it off, and
You just said you don't
let it do
shower.
its
You're
thing.
into the whole Neanderthal thing.
Pretty much. It's called what do you call it? There's that whole movement about how, you have when you shower, you remove the probiotic bacteria from your skin, so
Yeah.
so why bother?
Right. Why bother?
Why bother?
Exactly.
That's my thing.
All right. Well, we're coming up on time here. Near, this has been a lot of fun.
Thanks, guys.
You brought
Thanks
a
for
lot of
having me.
levity to the show here. To the listener out there who hates showers while traveling as much as Near does, take some action. Follow through on some of the steps that we've talked about here. If you have any questions on the steps, feel free to write in, comment like Anthony did. Everyone who does
Thank you, Anthony,
take
for
action.
your interaction.
Thanks, Anthony.
Everyone who does respond will get access to a private Facebook group of action takers, and one lucky listener will earn a free mentoring session from Near and potentially a business partnership on pressure washer. Brothers-in-law pressure washing, maybe.
Inc.
Inc. Thank you very much, Near. Appreciate
thank
the
you.
time here.
Really fun, great show. Really, really great concept, and I'm sure you guys are gonna do really, really well and increasingly do well. So thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Where can people go to find your book?
Yeah, so it's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's available all over the world. It's being translated into 2 languages. It's called The Creator Mindset. If you'd like, I'm online, nearbashan.com. Click on the community button, sign up. It's free. You can ask questions back and forth. We have several people in like a chat room, and it's kind of like an online community where people share creative tips. So I'm there, and I'd love to hear from your listeners.
Great.
Perfect.
Thank you to the listener who's been watching, and we will see you next week.
Bye, guys. Thanks. That was fun.
Near, if you don't mind
It
holding
is.
on for a second here.
Yes, sir.
All right, cool.
I'll
Let
sign
me
us off.
stop the recording here, make sure that uploads. If you've got another minute or two, we'd love some feedback.
Yeah. I got. I'm supposed to be on a 12:30, but